What's up, guys? Mark back here with another video. So today I had a couple different things that I was wanting to talk to you guys about, but I really just wanted to make sure that I got this in here. I absolutely positively love the Sigma 30mm f1.4 contemporary lens. So as some of you know, I went on an anniversary weekend with my girlfriend. I don't know, it was probably like 2 weeks ago or so. And I basically only used that lens on my camera pretty much the entire weekend. So if you guys are actually interested in seeing the video that I created with that, I'm going to leave the link in the description right after I get done with this video. I can't actually post it beforehand because I'm working here. I'm working. But I did want to give just a brief overview of like what my initial impressions were of this lens. It's not a full overview or a full review or anything. That's going to come probably in a couple weeks. But here's the thing. This lens is so good. It is, in my opinion, it almost feels better to me. This is very, I don't know, random in general. Because I know that a lot of other people absolutely positively swear by the Sony 50mm f1.8. Now, I love that lens, and I've used that lens for going on 2-3 years now. So yes, it is an extremely fantastic lens, but it does not compare to this lens, like at all. And one of the main reasons why is this ring. This feels so much better than the one that Sony created. The one that Sony created, I mean, it's not bad. It's not horrible. It totally gets the job done. The thing that the Sony's is made from, though, is it's metal. So it just doesn't have that really nice sort of tactile feel to it. Whereas this Sigma 30mm contemporary lens is so, oh my God, it just feels so good. I mean, really good. Now, I do want to say just a brief word about this Sigma 19mm f2.8. Now, this lens has been out for quite some time now. A lot of people swear by it, especially if you need a wide-angle lens. Again, it kind of suffers from the same kind of issues that I have with the Sony lens, is that there's no rubberized texture on the ring. It's completely metal. It's completely smooth. Nothing really here to write home about, but it's still a fantastic lens. Millie, what'd you say? Everyone is using Sony. I still have my Fuji X-T3 trying to sell it. Yeah, and there's a lot of reasons for that. The biggest one for me, obviously, is the autofocus. It, as of this point, for video, seems to be the best thus far that I have tested out. But this lens really is fantastic. And it is dead dirt. I mean, it's just dirt cheap. There's absolutely no reason not to buy this lens. I mean, it doesn't cost enough not to buy it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of one of those lenses, is that if you're on a Sony system, there's no real reason not to have this. It's an f2.8. It does fill a hole, whereas some of Sony's other lower-end lenses just don't have the power zoom, the 16 to 50. I mean, it's a 3.5 starting out, so having those, you know, that stop a light or two, I mean, it's a whole lot better for these smaller APS-C size sensors. Now, going back to the 30mm, this is honestly the kinds of lenses that I would really like to see Sony make. The focus ring on this and the dampening that's on the ring, it's too good. I mean, it's honestly one of the better ones that I've ever tried for Sony's APS-C line. There's been a few different competitors, I guess. But I mean, even Zeiss's lenses, you know, they don't really put much of that rubberized texture on the barrel like the Sigmas do. And I do know that Sigma's new 85mm does in fact have that same rubberized texture on the focus ring. So it's an extremely nice feeling lens. Feels very solid, very well built. I don't think that many of you are going to be able to go wrong with that that lens. And like I said, I picked it up relatively cheap. I ended up having a gift card, so I ended up getting it for, you know, right around $275 or so dollars. But DVK Music says Sony 35 versus Sigma 30mm test autofocus and video. The native lenses are going to be better for video and autofocusing. I have had my fair share of slight hiccups in autofocus with the Sony or the Sigma 30mm. So if that's something that's going to be concerning to you, now it's not bad. You guys are really, most of you are not going to be using hardcore autofocus all the time. And it's not like that the Sigma is super duper slow. It's actually pretty damn good. It's just not as good as the native Sony lenses. And if we're talking about just sheer image quality and sharpness, hands down it goes to the Sigma by a decent margin. It's probably not going to make as much of a difference for people doing video, especially if you're still shooting in 1080p. But for those that are doing photography, that extra massive amount of sharpness between the Sony 35, yes, the Sony 35mm. I don't know, man. It's good, but it's just not this good. So now, right after the video, I'm going to drop the link to the video that I created a couple weeks ago with the Sony A6300 and the Sigma 30mm contemporary lens. And the reason that I'm having to basically to do it this way is that I picked a copyrighted song. Okay, first and foremost, I picked a copyrighted song. At first, I didn't know that it was. Then later found out that it was. And I did all the editing, and I synced up, you know, all my edits to the music. And it was the perfect song, and I absolutely loved it. And I refuse to try and find another song and re-edit it. Now, I've you know, when you edit video, you stop, play, pause, stop, play, pause a million times as you're editing, and you just get used to that song. It almost becomes your video, you know, whatever music you cut it to. So there's just absolutely no way that I was going to redo the whole thing over again. Millie says the Sigma was how much? It runs roughly in the $350 range or so. So very, very affordable. You might be able to find it a little bit cheaper, maybe even in the used section. DVK Music also says the Sigma doesn't have OSS. Yes, and if optical steady shot is a priority for you, you're probably not going to want to get the Sigma for yourself. But it's not, again, it's not that bad if you put it on an A6500. I just don't really want to upgrade to the 6500. It is just too damn close to the 6300 as far as everything else. It did put sensor stabilization in the camera in a larger burst, but it's not my kind of camera. So when they release a more video focused camera, much like the A6300 with sensor stabilization, I'm totally going to pick it up. I can assure you. But the A6500, really, that upgrade for me was, I mean, it's just no. I want, you know, something completely different. And I really want Sony to start making this new different camera that I really want that they haven't gotten to yet. So anyway, Aaron Wood says Zeiss Sony 35mm f2.8 doesn't have OSS either. And that is true. So there's absolutely no reason for you or for me specifically to buy the Zeiss over this one, because in my personal opinion, again, I always have to say this for whatever reason, the Sigma 30mm contemporary lens is by far the best lens that I can buy for Sony's APS-C line of cameras. Now, some people are going to say, you're full of shit, you don't know what you're talking about, there's just no way that lens beats out any of the Zeiss lenses. Okay, you have to understand that there are principles in play here. Some of them are, you know, well known, some of them not so much, but there's the thing called the law of diminishing returns. And Zeiss is known for very good optics, very sharp images, and it's also pretty well known for its contrastiness. Everyone loves a nice contrasty Zeiss lens. But for the price difference, you can buy 3 of these Sigma lenses, get, in my opinion, more perceived megapixels in sharpness and better image quality, and you can buy 3 of them compared to 1 of the Zeiss lenses. So you guys, you're in charge of your own wallets. You guys buy whatever the hell you all want to buy, and slap whatever lens you want on the front of your camera. But if you have not tried the Sigma 30mm contemporary lens against any of your high-powered Zeiss lenses, I can almost guarantee you that you are not going to be disappointed. So, Frederick says, what about PDAF with the Sigma? From what I understand, the DN lenses didn't utilize PDAF fully on the A6000. Honestly, I don't know. But, you know, here's what I'm going to say. All lenses are not for all people. And just because you have a specific camera does not necessarily mean that this lens is going to meet your specific needs, tastes, or requirements. So you have to basically figure out, does it check off all the boxes for you? This lens, even though it's not optically stabilized, you know, people have gimbals. People have, you know, sensor stabilization. There are a lot of ways around having a beautiful, gorgeous, fantastic looking lens and still being able to get what they need out of that lens. So you have to make sure that it checks off all the boxes for you personally. Okay, so Millie says, I've been using manual focus a lot more lately for what I do. And, you know, it's the best way to learn. It's the best way to get good. K2 says, I've been on the fence selling my A7 Mark II for an A6500, but full frame would be hard to leave. And for a lot of people, that's probably true. I don't necessarily mind full frame. Honestly, I feel like I get all kinds of depth of field with the APS-C line of cameras. Some people are just on that full frame jock and they absolutely can't get away from it. And I understand. You get used to something and it's really hard to think about going, you know, to something different. You're afraid of what the results might be or not be. But for me, it was really easy to move away from full frame in those bigger size cameras. Some people just don't want to do it. I understand. To each their own. Prashata, I'm going to assume that I butchered that, but it sounds pretty close. Sony 35mm f1.8 versus Sigma 30mm f1.4 on the Sony A6000 nighttime focusing, which is better? Focusing, I mean, if you're not doing manual focusing, almost any native lens is going to have an edge over third-party lenses. That's just the way it is. I've not done a side-by-side comparison. I don't do a lot of night shooting. So here's the thing. It's almost 100% guaranteed that if you try to pit a third-party lens up against a first-party lens, the people that built the camera and the lens are going to know more, or are going to know better about how those two devices work together. So for Sigma to try and guess and try to make the best out of what they can, they still have to try and optimize. And they may not get it right the first time. They may not get it right the second time. But the thing of it is that Sigma's lenses are now able to be upgraded via firmware. So once they figure new stuff out and they understand the operating system on Sony's cameras just a little bit better, you can in fact upgrade the Sigma 30mm f1.4 and several of their other lenses as well. They even make a dock that you can just click your lens into. It hooks up right up to your computer, and you can upgrade the firmware that way. Let's see. Zayed says, I think it's how you pronounce your name. It says, ever had backlighting focus issues with your 30mm Sigma Contemporary? That's the only thing that kills me with the lens, especially when using flash. Yes, I have. Now that I think about it, I have probably encountered that several different times. And it's not a big deal breaker for me. I try to light appropriately. So, I mean, if someone is backlit and I just don't think I can get the focus, I'll just try and manually focus that. But yes, I have experienced it. So you might have some issues if you try to keep it in autofocus and your subject is backlit. But that's honestly kind of a problem with a lot of other cameras as well, or a lot of other lenses as well. Sometimes they just can't get it right. Usually you can sort of just go off to the side and get that contrast between the light source and your backlit subject, and you can usually find a happy medium there and lock that focus. Sony has better native focusing than Sigma, but overall the Sigma wins. Yeah, you're not alone, man. So yeah, that's my first initial impressions of the Sigma 30mm. It really is just a goddamn ridiculous, fantastic lens. It is built right. It feels nice in the hands. It is very robust. It feels even more so than like the 50mm native lens. And with this particular focal range, it basically becomes a 50mm, roughly. It's 45mm, but it's roughly a 50mm on your Sony A6000, A6300, A6500, and that makes it almost the perfect focal range. And it's an f1.4 with amazingly fast and really good autofocus. I'm not going to be selling mine. I actually really love it. So now that I've got all of that out of the way, if you guys have any more questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. But after I end this stream, I'm going to go ahead and post up the link to the video that I created with the camera and the lens so that you guys can see it. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm just going to do it now. I'm going to put it up there. And that way you guys can... I'd like to get... Let's see. Very professional live stream here for me. All right. Yeah, this is and I will say that the 30mm, at least actually translating over into a 50mm on this particular camera. I mean, it wasn't a burden for me to carry around. Before I probably would have just carried my 18-105. Because it's nice wide field of view and angle and everything. But the biggest problem with that is that it is about twice the size. So actually just having that to carry around the entire weekend. And I easily could have swapped off to the 19mm, but I was enjoying the ergonomics and the rubberized focusing ring so much that I just completely forgot about it, honestly. All right, so because I didn't want to re-edit it, I had to basically upload it onto Vimeo, which is perfectly fine. At least they don't give you copyright strikes and stuff like that. But when I uploaded it onto YouTube, I have a sample video of it on YouTube, but the audio track is 100% muted. So unfortunately, if it doesn't have the music and it's not going along, it's just not as good. So I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. If you guys would hop on over there, check out the link, watch the video, check out the aesthetics, check out the depth of field, the sharpness and all that kind of stuff. And you guys can kind of let me know what you all think. I'd like to know what you all think about its image quality, what you think about its overall performance. So at any rate, guys, thanks for hanging out with me here on the Photo Video Show live stream yet again. I definitely appreciate it. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I hope to see you more later on in the week. And when you do, come join me and say hi. All right, man, I'm out. Peace.